structure on the site that has in fact been restored over the last couple of years, bringing together some of our preservation trade school partners with the Shaker Museum. And as you all know, it's in the summer it's even a more glorious sight to walk around and see. And the Shaker history here is unlike anyplace else. The Shakers, most of you know, but if the Congressman doesn't know, came over from England in the late 1700s and had a lasting impact on American history in many ways. I heard the Congressman speak a few weeks ago talking about how many nonprofits and historic sites there are in his district. That sort of makes your heart sink a little bit because they all need money. Forget about the rest of those just for a moment, if you will. You know, the Shaker site has really had a lasting impact on architecture, on civil rights, on the peace movement, on design, and on the pharmaceutical industry, on the agricultural industry. They held more patents than most anybody did at that point in U.S. history, and I think they continue to astound us today as we discover more and more about their building techniques. Having said all that, I'm really pleased to introduce to you our Congressman. We had really bad news and really good news, not long ago. We lost Kirsten Gillibrand to the Senate, but we were really pleased to have Congressman Scott Murphy step into her shoes. I've been lucky to get to hear him speak on a number of occasions, and he is thoughtful. He brings a lot of the public sector, a lot of the private sector knowledge and expertise to the public sector, which greatly needs it, some of us think. And I think he brings a lot of thoughtful thought to his job. So on that stumbling note, I will turn this over to Congressman Scott Murphy.
Well, it's a pleasure to see so many people out here today. It is my first visit to the site, and I think that the Great Stone Barn, as many of you know, is actually quite an impressive and amazing site. As I was just walking up, getting to see the size and the scope of it, and you see why it is considered one of the world's treasures, and something that we clearly need to preserve, and hopefully are able to expand upon the efforts that many of you have been involved in to make the museum even more accessible and more available to people from not just the 20th District, but all over the country as part of the tourism that drives some of our economy here, and also just the heritage tourism that means so much to a lot of Americans. And I was interested to hear Jeff reference the pharmaceutical impact of the Shaker community. That's not one that I know much about, so I've got some more learning to do, but my wife is a student of art and design, and their impact on American building methods and the kind of historical impact on art and architecture is something that I am very familiar with. And as Jeff mentioned, there are a lot of great not-for-profits in this area, in the 20th District. There's a lot of great art history. Olana's not far from here, and the Hudson Valley School is something that we see a lot, and I spent some time there this summer, and that's a great piece of history that ties in with some of the tourism that's part of the state, and I think it's important that we support it. And I think that the work that people have been doing here to preserve some of these historic buildings, it ties back to some of my own personal work. My wife and I talk about having saved the home we live in. We live in a 1929 home with those old leaded glass windows where it basically feels about like this in my house, even with much of the winter. And I try to get some help from, many of you know, New York has this Energy Star program, and so I reached out to NYSERDA's website and I found this Energy Star consultant, and I hired him to come in. The only time I knew I could be home to take this tour with him for a couple hours about how to fix my house was Christmas Eve. So I had him come in on Christmas Eve morning, and he got there, and I said, so you really need me to follow you around for a couple hours? And he said, I've wanted to, and my wife has wanted to see this house since we were little kids. Which is always heartwarming that you help save an old historic house in your hometown, but also kind of depressing because you know the whole day is going to be, can I just look in this corner as I go around? And there wasn't very much talk about energy savings that he could give me in my house. But he did tell me after the blower test, where they put a thing on the door and they check for how much air is leaking in your house, that he has never had a score this bad on how many years he's been working. So we are trying to figure out how to bring the modern and the historical together in our home, how to insulate and protect and warm properties without losing that architectural heritage that's so important. And there's just not a good way to do that with beautiful leaded glass casement windows, and we're still struggling with that. So I know some of the kinds of hurdles that you're facing, I face them in my own little way as I work on my house each day. You guys are working very hard here to bring that history to life and also something that we can enjoy. And given that we haven't yet figured out exactly how to insulate this room, I'm not going to go on any longer because I can see from the crowd that people are ready to move around. But I do want to say thanks to everybody that's been involved in this project. In particular, I'll recognize Jeff Daly for his work. And we have here the Congressional Citation for Historic Preservation that I have the honor to present to the Shaker Museum and Library here today. And I want to forward, we're going to be working together to continue to preserve some of these things and hopefully move forward with making it even more accessible to people to get more of a sense of this history and to bring people into. So thanks again for all your hard work and congratulations on the recent grant, and we have more work to do. Sorry.
One point or two things. Everyone brought up all the points that are on the history of what's going on here at the site. What is our homework? Our homework is we are restoring and stabilizing the great stone barns. We have $2 million worth of grants for the site. Many people are not aware of that. For the restoration of the barn and for the restoration of the wash house next door, which you see sitting on the steel beam supporting it. This is critical to restoring this entire site. That's thanks to a lot of effort from a lot of people. Lebanon, Congressional Library, Darrow School, everyone who is supporting the rebirth of this site. This is an American treasure, and the magic of this mountain will be brought back to life by all of our efforts. And we need your support, and we need you to tell people that we are doing the right thing here, trying to get this site brought back to life. So I appreciate you all squeezing yourselves to get here today. I'm glad you could make it, and I see Nancy Wolf from Darrow School here. Thank you all for coming, and again, thank you, Congressman Murphy, for a wonderful present for us for all of our efforts.